Just want to get into the Word. I've been doing this sermon series called Building Up the Family, and today I'm going to end this series. I'm going to be talking about something that's really difficult for parents and loved ones. It's when our kids rebel. For that matter, when our loved ones rebel. Sometimes it's the mom and dad rebelling. Sometimes it's husband that's walked away from God or wife that's walked away from God. But what do you do when your children rebel? Because the question a lot of people ask is, why do the kids of godly people sometimes go astray? And there's really a lot of answers for that. I really don't know if I really have the answer. I just know that many do, and I see that throughout the Bible you have godly parents where their children went haywire. You see Adam and Eve. You see Noah and his wife Samuel. You see Eli. You see Daniel. You see David, King David, and on and on. I could go on and on down the list of godly men that trusted God, yet their kids went left gutter. And even today, there's many godly parents and their children are not walking like they should. And I really don't know all the answers, except I see in this passage things that we could do, how to understand rebellion, how to understand when there's that moment of reevaluation and regret and then the return. I'm going to be in the Gospel of Luke chapter 15 today. The book of Luke chapter 15, I'm going to start at verse 11. It's known as the prodigal son. It really ought to be called the story of the loving father. But it's a prodigal son, and it says, to illustrate this point, Jesus told this story. A man had two sons. The younger told his father, I want my share of your estate now before you die. So his father agreed and divided his wealth between his sons. A few days later, his younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted all his money in wild living. About this time, his money had run out. A great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him. No one gave him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and earth, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long ways off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son. He embraced him, and he kissed him. His son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. But his father said to the servants, quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. And kill the fat we've been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead, and he has now returned to life. He was lost, but he is now found. So the party began. Oh, Father, I pray that parties begin today. Celebration of seeing husbands and wives, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters come back home to Jesus Christ. That they would reconcile with their family, and that, Lord, we would see a great harvest of return for your glory. And Lord, I just pray this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different things today. I want to talk about different stages, because what you see here is this man that is going through a difficult time, and the rebellion of his child. You see, there's a lot of stages. You have a rebellious stage, you have a reevaluation and regret stage that I'm going to talk about in a return stage. But I really want to see what we're supposed to do, because in all these, in the story of the prodigal son, you see that God is really speaking to the family here, and he's trying to tell us what we have to do to win our children back to God, to see them come back to the saving knowledge of Christ. Because first of all, there's the rebellious stage. You have the rebellion stage. This is where this kid just really took a left turn. Right there in verse 11 through 16, it says, to illustrate this point, Jesus said to him, a man had two sons, and the younger said to his father, I want my share of your estate before you die. I want. And you see him just telling the father what to do. A few days later, the younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted all his money in wild living. About this same time, his money ran out, and a great famine swept across the land, and he began to starve. Now he has a need. And he persuaded a local farmer to give him a job and to hire him, and the man sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. And the young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. Man, in every child and parent relationship, there's a time where there's going to be some pushback. There's going to be a power struggle. You see, when a child is born, they are 100% reliant on their parents, and the parents are 100% control. But then the kid starts spreading his wings, and he starts pushing back some, and he wants his own thing, his own way, his own time, and his own saying, and he wants to just be in control of himself, just like you see right there in verse 12 where he says, I want my share. I want my share of your estate now. What a little punk. His dad's not even dead. Give me my inheritance now. Oh, my goodness gracious. Man, you see, the father didn't slap him. He didn't put him down. He just like, wow. And so the father agreed. He's there saying, give me, give me, give me. We don't know how old he is. He might be 15. It might be 18. All I know is he takes off, and he's on this wild party mode. He's cruising around in his Cadillac. I thought that was kind of cute, right? We don't know if it was a one humper or two, but yeah, baby, I got my Cadillac and I'm ready to go. Okay, enough. But he's out of control. He's wild. He's living a life that he had never been taught. And he's just digging himself deeper and deeper and deeper and messing up and really messing up. And so the question I want to ask is, what do you do when they rebel? What do you do when they rebel? Well, look at the story. First, you let them go. It's not that you encourage them and say, okay, go. I'm sure the father talked to him, but he's like, do you really understand what you're asking? Do you really understand what you're saying? But you know what? I can't stop you because you know what? Nowadays, it's really easy to go. They have their own car or they borrow yours, and no telling what they do when they leave the house. They can act like goody two-shoes and they have another life, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The minute they leave the house, they're living a whole different kind of life, and you don't even know what's going on. And it's just a broken time. And it says there, the younger son packed his bags and he moved to a distant land. Wow. He moved to a distant land. He let him go. He said, you know what, this is hard for me, but I'm going to let you go. He left to a distant land. Second thing you do is you let them make their own decisions, their own mistakes. You let them make their own mistakes. Let me tell you something. It's one of the hardest things as a parent is when you see that your kid's going 100 miles an hour to hit the wall, and he's going to wreck into the wall, and you're going, son, daughter, husband, wife, loved one, don't do that all. When they hit the wall and they self-destruct. And you're just crying out. But sometimes they only learn by their own mistakes. Right there in the second half of verse 13, it says, and there he wasted all his money in living wild. He wasted all his money. You're seeing him make this destructive choice. You're seeing him spiral out of control, and you're begging, God, please. And you're telling your son or daughter, father, mother, brother, sister, whoever it is, that you're crying out for, please, what are you doing to yourself? What are you doing? And they're just out of control, and sometimes they could only learn by their own mistakes. Rebellion's always a waste. It's always a waste. But you pray to God they could at least learn something. This son was stubborn. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. I'm ready to go. Man, it's like the school of hard knocks. How low is bottom? When do they finally hit bottom? Some hit the bottom, and you know what they start doing? They start digging even deeper. Like, I'm not deep enough. Someone said, what are you doing? You already hit rock bottom. No, but if I keep digging, maybe I'll hit water. Maybe I'll hit gold. Maybe I'll hit oil. Okay, how's that work for you so far? You see, you're out of control and you don't even know it. But you're praying to God that they'll learn from their mistakes. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 30, he says, physical punishment cleanses away evil. Such discipline purifies the heart. Man, isn't that the truth? What is it going to take for you to finally realize, oh my goodness gracious? So you got to let them go. You got to let them learn from their own mistakes. And then third, you got to let them reap the consequences of their choices. The consequences of choices. Look what it says right there in verse 14. About that time, his money ran out. A great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. Oh, he wasn't starving yet. Some people are at that point, they already have a great need, but they don't even see it yet. And you're here trying to point them out and say, goodness gracious, how bad does bad have to get? Now he's starving. Now it's getting his attention. Now it's saying like, oh my goodness gracious, this is not a good situation I'm in. I really have a need. I mean, you really reap what you sow. You have to understand that whatever you sow, you will reap. And it says there that when his money ran out and he began to starve, verse 15, he persuaded a local farmer to hire him. And then he goes on to say, and the man sent him into the fields to feed the pigs. Man, here he is, a kosher Jew, and he's feeding the pigs. They're not even supposed to be around pig, let alone eat pork. And here he is feeding them. It's the greatest embarrassment. It says the young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good because no one gave him anything. Man, how do you think his dad must have felt? You hear all kinds of stories. Hey, sorry, Abram, I'm sorry to hear what your son, he left, and man, I heard he's working in a farm. It's a pig farm. Oh, don't tell me that. Yeah, he's working, feeding the pigs. What? Yeah, someone even saw him eating some of their food. What? Oh, come on. Please don't tell me my son's that low. Please. Don't tell me my daughter's there. Don't tell me my husband's there. Don't tell me my wife. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And you're broken and you're hurting and you're saying, God, please bring them to their senses. God, please. But you had to let them go because they fought you and fought you and fought you. And you're praying to God that they learn from their mistakes and because they're reaping the consequences of their decisions. So stage one is just releasing them. That's releasing them in that rebellious stage where they're rebelling against God, they're rebelling against you, they're rebelling against society, they're rebelling against everything because they really think they have it all together and they don't. And they go around saying, I'm fine, oh my gosh, get off my back already. Oh, I'm not addicted, I could quit whenever I want. I've already quit 8 times. You've quit 8 times. I thought if you quit, that means it's over. But there they are, one more time. The stage is the rebellious stage, the rebellion stage. And bringing me to the second point I want to make, and that's the reevaluation and regret stage. That's where they really reevaluate their life. They finally come to that point where something shakes them, something rattles them, gets their attention, and they're like, whoa. Look what it says in verse 17 through 19. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, my goodness, at home, even the hired servants have enough food to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I'll go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. First, he's telling them, give me, give me, give me. You give me this. You give me my inheritance. You give me my freedom. You give me liberty. And now he's saying, please make me, take me. Please make me a servant. Just take me as a servant. Look, before I wanted to be in control, now I want you to be in total control, because I finally realized I'm totally out of control. I need your help. I need you, Lord. Notice this change of attitude, this change of heart. Man, it's like, what's going on? What's happening? Man, well, he finally hit rock bottom. He's sitting there going, what happened? What happened to me? I'm here feeding the pigs. I'm got all this slop, and it's like, I'm a Jew. I'm not even supposed to be with pigs, let alone eat them, let alone be with them. Oh, God, help me. What have I done? And you pray and pray and pray and pray. So what do you do during this evaluation time? What do you do during this regret time? Well, you pray. You pray. These are the three things you do. You pray. You pray for your kids. You pray for your loved one. You pray, 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 pray. Never stop praying, for your kids are under a heavy attack. Your loved ones are under a heavy attack. Satan wants to kill them and destroy them. He wants to beat them down. You pray, 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 pray. A hedge of protection around them. You pray they come to their senses. You pray that they come home. He said, I want to go home. Pray, 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 pray. Don't give up. Don't give up. Second, you commit them to God. You commit them to God. Not only pray, but you commit them to God. You say, God, please, Lord, my loved ones are yours. My husband's yours. My wife's yours. My son and daughter, they're yours. My father and mother are yours. My brother and sister are yours. My relatives are yours. God, please, God, hear my prayer. They're yours. They're yours. You remember Job? It says that every day when Job woke up, every day he would make a sacrifice, and he'd talk to God, and he'd say, Lord, I'm giving you this sacrifice on behalf of my children, just in case one of them did something stupid. Just in case they're not walking with you. Just in case they sinned. Just in case they did anything. God, please, Lord, I commit them to you. I commit them to you every single day. Commit your children. Commit your loved one. Your husband, your wife, your father, your mother, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your best friend. Whoever it is you're praying for to get saved. You commit them to the Lord and say, Lord, they're in your hands. I want to see them under your control and not theirs. And then you also wait patiently. Man, there's nothing more frustrating than having to wait patiently. Man, some people have not had to not wait that long. Others of us have had to wait and wait and wait. God, please, please, God, bring my son home. Please, God, bring my daughter home. Please, God, bring my dad home. Please, God, bring my wife home. Please bring my mom home. God, please bring my brother or sister home. Please, and you're waiting. Sometimes it takes longer than others. But don't give up. Don't quit. Man, you pray. You commit them over to the Lord and just wait upon the Lord, because he will renew your strength and he'll renew them. Pray that they really come to that reevaluation point where they look at their life and they go, what am I doing? Oh my gosh, I sleep on a different sofa every night. Have to ask a friend, hey, can I spend the night? Hey, you let me crash? Or I'll sleep on the floor. I'll sleep in the garage. Just let me crash someplace out of the elements, man, out of the rain. It's cold outside. Just please, man, let me sleep. And then they're sleeping outside and you're like, well, it's a beautiful day. I mean, it's beautiful right now and it's not that bad. And you convince yourself you're okay when you're right in the middle of the pig slop. And you're there about to lose your life. Oh, pray. And then it brings me to the return stage. The return stage. That's when they come back to the Lord. How do we handle the return of our children? Because how you handle it is absolutely crucial for your husband or wife or son or daughter, whoever it is out there. Whoever it is that's a prodigal, whoever it is that's lost and they're out there and they need to come home, it's crucial how you handle it. Look how the father handled it. We're in verse 20 through 24. So he returned home to his father. And while he was still a long ways off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son and embraced him and kissed him. And his son said to him, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. But his father said to him, Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. And put it on him. Cover him. Cover his sin, his nakedness, his ugliness with the covering of God, the covering of righteousness, the covering of love, and get a ring and put it on his finger and sandals on his feet, and kill the calf that we've been fattening, and we must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead, but now he's returned to life. He was lost, and now he's found. So let the party begin. Man, he's like, I can't wait for this. Man, ideally, there's 3 things that he did when his son wised up. First of all, he loved him faithfully. He loved him faithfully. He didn't quit loving his son. It says that the son had come to his senses. His son had finally woke up. His son finally realized, oh my goodness gracious, I really blew it. I really messed up. I really blew it. But it says that when he returned home, his father saw him coming a long way off. A long way off. Here in verse 20, look what it says. And while he was still a long way off, the father saw him coming. Man, every day he'd look out the kitchen window. Every day he'd sit out on the porch. Every day he'd look out the bedroom window. Every day looking up that long, long road to the driveway and looking, is my son here now? And he saw his son, and he runs to his son, and he opens up his arms, and he wraps him around him. He loved him with love and compassion. He loved him faithfully. Loved him no matter what. He loved him. He loved on him. He just loved on him. Second thing he did is he accepted him unconditionally. Accepted him unconditionally. Look at verse 20 again. Look at the very end. And he ran to his son and embraced him and he kissed him. Unconditional love. Just unconditional. Now, he accepted him unconditionally. That didn't mean he approved of what he was doing. Acceptance and approval are 2 different things. I accept you as my husband or my wife. I accept you as my son or my daughter. I accept you as my brother or my sister. I accept you as my parents, but I don't approve of your lifestyle. I don't approve of the things you're doing. I accept you as my son, but I don't accept your addiction. I don't accept your lifestyle choices. I don't accept, but or approve, but I do accept you. There's a big difference between acceptance and approval. Don't get them confused. He runs to him with his arms wide open. He runs to him to receive him. He runs to him to just love on him. And he says, I love you, son. I love you so much. I love you. And he ran to him. Now, man, you got to understand. He's all nappy. Dude, he's been feeding the pigs. If any of you've ever worked around pigs, they stink. And that's why I say, oh my gosh, you're a pig, because pigs are sloppy. There's just muck and mud and what, and he's all, man, picture him. His pants are all dirty, and he probably tried to clean off the bed he could. And he's over there shoveling their slop and shoveling their food, and he's even eating some of their food because that looks good to him, and he's sweating, and he goes like that, and he pulls his hair back, so he's got all that yuck all over his hair and all over him. Can you see him? Can you see your kid? Can you see your husband? Can you see your wife? And they're filled with this sin, and they think they look beautiful, and you going, man, I love you. You're so messed up, but I love you. Just love them and say, I love you. I love you. I don't approve of your lifestyle, but oh, how I accept you. You'll always be my son. You'll always be my daughter. You'll always be my mom or my dad, my brother, my sister, my son, my husband, my wife. Man, and what does the son do immediately? Verse 21, the son's confession. Father, I've sinned against both heaven and you. Man, he had been rehearsing it over and over. I know I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. I pray to God my dad accepts me. I'm going to say, Father, I've sinned against both heaven, against God. I've broken God's heart. I've broken your heart. And I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. I know who I am. I know what I've done. God, I'm so messed up. I am so messed up. Please, Dad. Please, Mom. Please, husband. Please, wife. Please, brother. Please, sister. Give me one more chance. I know you've given me 1,000,000 chances already. Just give me one more. One more. This one will make a difference. This one, I know it is. It's going to, please. And so what does the father do? First, he forgave him completely. We need to forgive them completely. You can't keep this sin over their head forever. Verse 22, it says, his father said, quick, bring the finest robe. Put it on in the house that you find in the house and put it on him. Man, this is the finest robe to cover his filth, to let him know he's royalty. He's part of this family. He's part of something that he has not been a part of. And I want to remind him what he's a part of. I want to remind him of his heritage. I want to remind him of what all of us are about. We have a name. The robe had this insignia on it, and it showed everyone so that all the servants could know, oh, that's one of the masters. That's one of the head of the house. That's one of the family members. That's one of the elite. So that nobody could say, oh, brother, the son's back. You jerk. You know what you did to your dad? You jerk. You've been such a jerk. You know what? You don't even deserve to be alive, let alone come back to mom and dad, and you're coming back like a husband and a father. You're coming back as a mother and a wife. Oh, brother. No, he said, cover them up. Cover up their sin. Love covers up multitudes of sin. Cover them up. And he says, get a ring for his finger. That ring was an insignia ring. It was a signet ring that had their emblem or it had their name, and they used it as a stamp for everything. They would put hot wax and they would put their stamp there, and that was like a credit card. He's saying, this son of ours, this brother of ours, this dad or mom of ours that used up everything and came and stole out of mom's purse and stole out of the house, go ahead and give them the credit cards back. What? Are you crazy? You're going to give him the credit cards? Give him the credit card. Give him the ring. And put sandals on his feet. He's not going to be going around with those flip-flops with all that pig dung and goop and yuck all over him. Ugh. Put some classy shoes on him because he's a classy kid. Show him who he is. Verse 24, he says, for this son was dead. Now he's returned to life. He was lost. Now he's found. God doesn't rub it in. He rubs it out. He doesn't hold it right in your face. He shows them, man, you're part of this culture. You're part of this family. And he's saying, make me a servant. Here's the one that I want my own freedom. Give me my inheritance now. I know you're still alive, but give it to me. I want to be free. I want to call my own shots. Can you just see his attitude? And now he's there, God. Forgive me, God. I've sinned before you and Dad. Just make me a servant. I don't deserve to be called your son. I'll just be a servant. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to do it your way. I'm ready to do it the way you've taught me. I'm ready to do it the way you've called me. I'm ready to do it your way and no longer mine. Now, this story has a real happy ending because he came home. Some of us still have a kid out there. Some of us still have a husband out there. Some of us still have a wife out there, a son or a daughter out there, a brother or sister out there. And we're saying, God, please, 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 please. Some of you are that son or daughter, husband or wife, father, mother, brother, sister. And today you're going, oh my gosh, what did you tell the pastor that preached that just for me? Of course not. It's for all of us. God has a word for you. He's saying, come home. Come home. Come home. Some of you have never given your life to Jesus, and some of you have, but you're far, so far from him. You're not walking at all with God like you should. And today I want to invite you home. I want to invite you home. I want to invite you home. And if you've never given your life to Jesus or you want to renew your walk with him, just raise your hand and say, oh my gosh, that's me, Pastor, that's me. I really want to do that. Is there anyone here? Then I want to pray with you. I want to pray for us. If you have a son or daughter, or a father or mother, or son or husband or wife, or brother or sister that are so far from God, and you're so overwhelmingly burdened for them, and you're saying, God, please, God, please, God, bring them home. And you want to pray for them, I invite you to come to the altar right now to pray for your son or daughter, to pray for your husband or wife, pray for your brother or your sister, to pray for that person that is so far from God and they've walked away from God and they so desperately need God again. Come and pray for them. Stand in the gap and say, God, I want to see them come back to you before I die. I want to see them come back to you, Lord. Please, God in heaven, hear our cry. Please, God in heaven, reach my son, God. Please reach my daughter. Please reach my dad. Please reach my mom. Please, God, reach my brother, my sister. God, please reach them with your love. Reach them with your love. Reach them with your love.